I mean, this is where we went from with the Callaway to the Ping. Yeah, I mean, hey, we
Anyways,
had
I
our
swear I'm a good golfer. Hello everyone, it's Paige, and we're here today in Club Champion with Mitch, or Moustache Mitch, as you like to be called, right?
Oh gosh, I don't know about like to be called, but voluntold to be called that? Yeah, absolutely.
We love it. And we're talking about the best hybrids. I know some people maybe be a little bit hesitant about trying hybrids. They like to hit a 4-iron or a 3-iron, which no one should be doing. So we're going to talk about some of the best hybrids today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be talking about when it makes sense to have that 3 hybrid in the bag versus a 4 hybrid or a 4-iron. So it's going to be a lot of fun getting down to it and seeing what Paige can do for us today in the bag. Absolutely. Let's have some fun. So we're going to be testing the top 3 hybrids from 2024. We're going to start off with the Callaway AI Smoke hybrid. Okay, got a matte finish, really sleek looking head. It's been performing phenomenally. I think it's been the best iteration of Callaway hybrids in the last maybe 5-10 years. And then we're going to be doing the Qi10 from TaylorMade. Not a matte finish this time. We've got a gloss finish. This has been a really high performing hybrid line ever since I've been working with Club Champion. It's been one of my top sellers personally as well. So I'm really excited to see what the data is going to look like with you today. So it's going to be a treat. And then of course our Ping G430 hybrid, which I personally fit into. So I want to see if that beats everything out. And let's see how that goes. But
it's funny because I normally never fit in well to Ping. So it will be interesting to see which one out of those 3, because I do love Callaway. I play their fairway woods and also have their driver. So I'm excited to see.
Yeah, I'm excited to see as well. Any thoughts of why you don't think Pings worked for you in the past?
I don't know. I like the way that Pings look, and I know that a lot of people who come to Club Champion fit really well into Pings, but it just never really performs the best for me. But it's funny because we always talk about that. That's why you have to get fit, because none of those brands are bad brands. It's just whatever fits your swing best.
Absolutely. Couldn't put it better myself. Yeah, it's great. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let's get started here. Just pulled a very popular shaft off the wall, the Fujikura Ventus blue hybrid shaft with Velo core, of course. So let's start with that Callaway. See how it goes. And I've just got everything just set at standard for the 2 that are adjustable. The Qi10 is not adjustable here. Having said that, we'll be able to adjust throughout, make sure our trajectory is the right way. So let's get a few shots here. Let me put in a tag for us. All right, good to go. Had a nice sound coming off of it.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, do you have any tendencies in your ball flight to miss left, right? What's that typical miss?
You know, normally I tend to hit a bit of a draw, and I really dislike that left kind of snap hook that I can get.
Yeah.
But lately I've kind of been just blocking everything out to the right side. Yeah. I've been making some changes within my swing and my swing path, and so I think that's just the product
swing
of
path,
it.
trying to get it closer to 0, less from the inside?
Well, it's funny because even though I do hit that draw, it's because I come over the top kind of with a closed club face and I get steep on it.
Fair enough.
Actually trying to come a little bit more from the inside.
That's why we're having that block miss.
Correct.
And
yeah.
we're not flipping as much from that position. Okay.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Just trying to get everything in sync.
Awesome. Let's see a few more. Same kind of smash factor again, and hey, if we've been kind of losing it out to the right a little bit, as long as we're having that grouping close together for dispersion, we know that we can kind of correct that out in the golf course.
I really like the way that this looks and that it feels. I will say that it feels a little heavy for me, so when I'm kind of at the top, I feel like I'm laboring on the way down, where I do have to manipulate it a little bit. It's not as light as my fairway woods that I'm used to.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting as we go through these heads. This is the heaviest head of the 3, just from our demo perspective. Now, these can come with weight kits, that sort of thing. We can fool around with that as well a little bit. But as we go through these heads, we're going to be progressing to a little bit lighter, and it's going to be interesting to see where that dispersion ends up, how that affects the performance, if we maintain the smash factor, losing some swing weight, or if we lose a little bit of that as well.
I have a dumb question.
No such thing.
There is. So I've played hybrids in the past, and I've now switched over to fairway woods, but I've always felt that the hybrids are heavier. Is that true or not true, or have I just always fit into maybe a more of a heavier hybrid?
Well, it's a yes and a no answer
Okay.
because the heads, they are heavier, but it's to equate for the fact that the shaft is going to be shorter.
Okay.
Okay, the typical swing weight of a hybrid, if you're talking about from a manufacturer, might be a little bit heavier than a 3-wood. They're trying to get a little bit more speed. It really just is so dependent on where the weight point of the shaft is, that balance point, right? And how that can kind of influence swing weight without even necessarily adding weight to it, so to speak.
That was better.
Yeah, you got that one around a lot
Yeah.
easier. Getting used to the weight a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, since we saw that one go a little bit straighter, let's hit 1 or 2 more, see if we've just gotten used to this weight a little bit. See if we can normalize it.
It's just so heavy.
Yeah, I can tell you're laboring. Go ahead and hand that back to me.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna stop with that one. It's not working out too well for you in the weight side of things, but it's so crazy to see that of how swing weight can really make that much of a difference. So it's good to talk about it. So let's go to kind of the mid-weight head. Let's go to the ping, and that way we'll have kind of a natural progression down instead of just jumping to the lightest, right? So let's see if this works for us. Now, it's interesting. I would say that ping heads, and their engineers might come at me for this one, but they're typically a little bit flatter than most heads, and I would say Callaway is a little bit more upright in comparison. Might be one of the reasons why you don't typically hit a ping very well, but this one's been my favorite since the 410. So let's give this one a shot.
Oh, it is flatter.
Mm-hmm.
That felt way better just from a weight perspective.
Absolutely. And we see it in the height. We see it in virtually every number. And we'll compare these after we're done. But that was your second longest carry of the day?
Yeah.
On the first swing. See, that was the one. Okay. That would have been 20 yards further right with the Callaway. So weight is absolutely working better, and that consistency of the carry is something that we want to pay attention to.
Okay.
And that was very, very close. We're talking about 4.5 yards less.
Yeah, I'll take that if that's a miss.
Absolutely, right?
I like the look of this pink head. I think sometimes before I had issues with hybrids, they looked almost a little shut to me.
Right.
The fact that this looks like it has a little loft, I prefer that.
Yeah, I prefer this look a little bit as well. A little bit more confidence inspiring too with the way that it's constructed, but you don't have the spin rates that typically come up with that style of look, and I like that about the ping. In the previous iterations of the ping hybrids and woods, they've had the dragonfly technology on the top of it. I'm glad they've kind of taken that away. But let's take a look here and just in comparison, and I'll take that back from you, Paige. If we look at the groups, we're right at optimal. Okay, for that mid trajectory where, hey, we were optimal with the Callaway, but it was just all over the place, right? I mean, we've got top to bottom. Let's change this to carry. Carry is a little bit more important when we're talking about hybrids, right? But just a much better grouping. Even our biggest miss was just a lot better there. And so when we go into the table and we look at just our averages here, swinging a little bit faster. Now, the weight didn't cause you to swing too much slower, but look at the consistency of the swing speed, right? Easier to put the same thing on there. Also, a more consistent ball speed number, okay, with about the same ball speed, but a more consistent strike. Smash factor, exact same as what we were dealing with before. But look at the consistency of our carry, right? From 9.2 to 3.5, and we've added a good almost 6 yards of carry, right? Launch angle came up. Spin was a little bit less, but more consistent, but our height was higher. And again, a more consistent ball flight is going to lead to more consistent carry, and we're going to be a lot happier with that. So,
who do you think is a good candidate for a hybrid compared to a long iron? to a fairway wood?
So we'll talk a good bit about landing angle when we look at irons, and that kind of forecasts into the bag of, okay, where is that breakdown of, do I go into a hybrid or a wood, right, versus that long iron, right? And so what I look at is, if we were going through the irons first and we saw that we can get you with a good smash factor, 1.38 or higher for that 6 iron, and I see a landing angle of 45 degrees, which is that threshold of more stopping power than outward motion for any shot, right? If we can get above that 45, I know you can handle a 4 iron. Do we want a 4 iron in the bag? That's another question. But I know we can handle it, unless we've got somebody that's just dead set on a 3 iron. Outside of a driving iron, can't remember the last time I've sold a 3 iron because it's typically not as optimal. So it's really forecasting how effective it's going to be off of that landing angle, and how close are we to those smash factor goals that we might have.
Because I think the misconception is that if you're a better player, that you're going to play a 3 iron or a 4 iron. But are you seeing players on tour opt for a hybrid over a 3 iron now?
Hybrids or driving irons,
Yeah.
absolutely. And typically speaking on tour, when they're jumping from like a standard, like, gosh, they used to play blade 1 irons back in the day, right? But when they go from that typical in the set, in line 3 iron to something like a driving iron or a hybrid, they're trying to maintain on average like a 5 mile an hour ball speed gap between each club. And so it's not really necessarily do they need the extra forgiveness in that, it's just they need to match that ball speed to work with their gapping. So when we're talking about the PGA Tour players, that's a little bit more common. With scratch golfers, right? And we talk about those, they need the forgiveness in the 3, trust me, right? I'm a new dad that used to be a +2 handicap, and I'm no longer there. So I need all the help I can get.
Yeah.
And most of us do out there, absolutely.
What's the difference between a driving iron and a hybrid?
So really the driving irons, it's going to be that just larger iron that's going to help you to be a little bit more forgiving, a little bit more pop off of the face, but have that same kind of feel. The only issue that I have with driving irons, they're a little bit a lot harder to work with out of the rough, but just a little bit harder out of the fairway versus a hybrid. And the hybrid's really going to be able to be that club you can hack out of the rough if you need to. Instead of using a long iron, you're having to back down to a 7 iron if you don't have a 3 hybrid in the bag, right? Just to get out of the deep rough, 100%. But how do we like the feel of the ping? Outside of the weight, we know we like the weight a little bit better, but the feel off of the face, and sound is feel in comparison to the Paradigm.
If I'm more used to the feel of the Paradigm, just because I feel like Callaway is pretty consistent across the board, and same with that sound. It's a very distinct sound.
Right.
But with the ping, it feels like nothing when I'm hitting it, which is actually something I do also like too. You don't want this big loud sound. You don't want this feeling that like it's tinging off the face. It just feels like it's flowing through the golf ball, and it felt really nice.
I love that. And one more look at the dispersion chart up here, because I wanted to bring all of it up. This is where we went from with the Callaway to the ping. Yeah, hey, we had
I swear I'm a good golfer.
You're a great golfer. Look, just in one combination of the head. We haven't even fooled around with shaft yet, since we've been playing this one for a little bit. But let's take a look at the the TaylorMade now Qi10.
It's very glossy.
Yes, a little shinier.
I would say that this is probably my least favorite look out of the 3 of them.
Completely different sound.
Yeah, very different.
Good result, a little lower in height.
This is what happened with the fairway wood as well. I just don't tend to get these up in the air as much as the Callaways.
Gotcha. And yeah, the first one that we've gone to with that gloss look, so we started with a 2 matte. Can understand how it's a big drastic change.
A smaller head too, it looks like. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I don't like this one.
Let's
we only want more.
One more for the data circle, but we've gone to the lightest head, and we're now missing a little bit left, right? So somewhere in the between where that ping was a really, really good weight for you. Maybe the best one, but the ball speed dropped. It's not the right one for you, Paige.
No.
I'll take that one away from you. You probably couldn't hand it back to me quick enough. That's fine. Let's take a look anyway. And yeah, look, a tighter dispersion, too light, but at least they were kind of in the same area. But we know what's winning.
Because I smoked that last one and it wasn't close to
No,
the ping
it wasn't
the good Callaway.
At all. I mean, the ping's the winner for us. I know you tend to gravitate towards Callaway, but this.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? I know you're like I was a little worried at first too when you're telling me, okay,
I don't like ping. I never been to ping, but that's why you have to get fit.
That's
because again, you're always surprised. 100%. Every time I come in here and I do this, it's always the opposite of what I think I'm going to get.
Yeah, and it's why I never fit myself, Paige, because I'm going to have my own biases in there. I don't want to do that. Everything in my bag is fit with Club Champion, but it's some of my fitters, right?
Yeah.
So when I travel around and I go get fit, I'm like, okay, well, let's do some training and let's get fit. It's just so much fun doing that because it's never what I think it's going to be.
No.
I ended up in graphite iron shafts for the first time ever this year, and I actually gained accuracy, tightened it up, and I was really surprised by that going from Steve.
I know. I tell everyone graphite shafts for the
graphite
irons.
shafts, right? if it can handle Bryson's swing, it can handle yours, right?
100%.
Absolutely. Perfect. Well, this was great. I think we're going to be getting a ping hybrid for you then, huh?
I think we might need one.
That's right. Absolutely. So Paige, we just ran through our three, highest selling, best performing hybrids of 2024, and we found one that worked out really well for you. So let's talk a little bit about each head, what we liked, what we didn't like, and why we ended up on that Ping G430 hybrid.
Okay, so I'll go from my least favorite to my favorite.
Okay.
So let's start with the TaylorMade. I think throughout the fitting process that I've done for such a long time now, I've become really particular about what I like and what I don't like, and I can feel it almost immediately.
Right.
And for me, I personally didn't like the glossy finish and the smaller head, but I can see why a lot of people would really love this.
Right.
And I know a lot of people are maybe nervous to change from a long iron into a hybrid. And I feel like this is a great option because it does have that smaller profile that I think a lot of people would really like. And this could be the winner for you, but personally, it wasn't the look or the feel that I really loved. But I could see why this is one of the best in 2024.
Absolutely. And it's interesting you mentioned that, how it can be a good transition from that 3 iron to a 3 hybrid. And I've seen a lot of my better players gravitate towards this. And they do have a smaller version as well, the tour version, even a little bit more peanut shaped, if you will, like the old Adams kind of hybrids looked like. I think they bought that company maybe for that look. But in this case, yes, I think you're absolutely right. It's also, we saw a little bit more of the lower ball flight hybrid as well. And that's something I've historically seen with this. So a little bit higher ball flight folks tend to work well with that one.
And then we move on to the Callaway. I love the look of it. I love the feel. It's very, it's like home from my fairway woods and my driver. I did enjoy it. Obviously, it was just too heavy for me. But if it was lighter, I think this would have been something that I really prefer. And Callaway's just making really great equipment right now.
They really do. Yeah, I mean, it's a phenomenal head. I really enjoy this one. Having said that, a little bit lighter probably would have worked a little bit better for you. And the good thing is we did find that in the Ping G430. That's right. Absolutely.
Immediately, as soon as I set it down, I loved the way that it looked. And for me, I'm a very feel player, but I also just have to look down and see something that I like. And I know some players are not like that at all. They just only really care about the performance of it. And for me, it's appearance and also performance. And so as soon as I set this down, I already was in a good mindset to hit a good shot. And then it just, the weight of it, the feel of it, ended up working even better. So it was the perfect club for me.
100%. I mean, I love that all 4 of the shots that we hit, we didn't have to ignore a single one. No. They were all great. Even our biggest miss was like, okay, that's fine. Yeah, we're good. So it was great. Yeah.
No, I love it.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We tried some really amazing hybrids, but more importantly, you should get into Club Champion and try them out yourself. So leave a comment down below on one of your favorite brands, like today's video, subscribe to the channel, and more importantly, get yourself into a Club Champion, and we will see you for the next video.